Hello, thank you very much for hearing and watching this video about the esoteric lesson, the lesson number 17 of the spiritual high school, like it was given by Rudolf Steiner 1924. Like I also have said in the last lessons, it is something what we really can call it's a worship to God. It is something like a Michael Christian worship, a divine service. And so if you really want to work it and see it, please make sure so it is possible for you, or how far it is possible for you to be not disturbed and during watching and working this text, how good it is possible and have it watching and living with it in one piece without interruption, if possible. And what we have here is that we are working now on the lesson number 17. That means we have 16 lessons before. And to work this, it is really recommended, and it would be very, very helpful for you to begin with a study of the spiritual science like the Anthroposophy, or from sources, Christian and esoteric sources you can trust. And for example, it would be very good to study the works of Rudolf Steiner, like the book The Knowledge, Study of Knowledge of the Higher World, and to work and live with this 16 or 17 now lessons, and live with the mantras as much as it possible or sensible for you. What we are entering here is the way of learning how we can do a situational meditation. That means that we can be during our daily life in a connection with the spiritual world, which can give us help, which can give us answers, new ideas, new ways for a better, a Christian, a human life. Recognize, and I'm sure all of you, I think so, are sure about that we are spirit beings, and recognize that our good and holy thoughts can help. They can help us, they can help our human neighbors, they can help our human society to build a new, a good, a better human Christian world. And with our good thoughts, we are also able to turn the evil in the world, which is now in the world, into good, at least in a better way, and stop the evil like it is in the world. And if you have already studied, for example, the work of Rudolf Steiner, he told us that there is since a long time in the spiritual world something like we call a war between the Michael angels and the demons from Ahriman, which is a fight about our thoughts. It is, if we choose a way of a very materialistic Ahrimanic way of thinking and building an Ahrimanic world, or if we choose a way of spiritual thoughts like Michael can show us the way to. And by choosing this way, we will help in this fight, which is a fight for the human future. If we can go back a new and a future-like way to the spiritual world. So we are humans, and humans with a developed eye, and we can work on developing the eye, and we can help all other humans to develop on this eye. And by meditate works like this, you can also meditate and work on your thoughts. Let shine and ray your good, pure, holy thoughts, filled with love for all beings, out into the world. You can create your own loving thoughts in your heart, and you can let it shine into the world, because like what we know about the world out of the last lessons is we are in a sphere of light. The lights are a representative thing for the thoughts of the gods. And by creating the human thoughts filled with love for the world, we can help healing, creating and forming a better, God-wanted world. So that is something what in a private way I want to say today. And to come into the work of this lesson number 17, I now will say again the words of the second and third board. And if we remember to the lessons, we know that we hear a voice coming out of the cosmos to us. Then we can perceive additional words from the cosmic depths, from which the words are spoken to us came. The second board. Recognize first the earnest guardian who stands before the gate of spirit's land. The entrance your senses forces and your mind's power refusing, because you are in senses weaving and in thoughts shaping, from space's beinglessness, from time's deception power, the truth of own being you must first forcefully conquer. The third board. When we have heard such words, the answering words can reverently issue from the depths of our soul. I entered this senses world, the legacy of thinking carrying with me. A God's power had led me here. The death, it stands at the way's end. I won't feel the Christ being. It wakes in the matter's death, birth, spirit's birth. So in the spirit I find the world and recognize myself in the world's creation. Lesson 17. My dear friends, We also begin today with that verse which, by a correct understanding of the universe, resounds to human hearts from all that is and all that is becoming as a call to self-knowledge, which one must first attain for true knowledge of the cosmos. O man, know yourself, so resounds the word. You hear it soul powerful, you feel its spirit vastness. Who speaks so word fastly? Who speaks so felt heartily? Does it act through space-distant radiation in your senses, being experience? Does it sound through time's wave weaves into your life's evolving stream? Is it you yourself who in space feeling, in experiencing time, creating the world, feeling foreign, sensing in space's emptiness of soul? Because you have the force of thinking, losing in the time-destroying stream. Once more, let us review in our souls what summarized the contents of the previous class lesson. It was also a meditation arising from what the human being can experience when he feels himself completely immersed in the cosmic context, above all in the context of the spiritual world. Man's path to the abyss of existence, at which the guardian of the threshold stands, appeared before our soul. We heard the teachings of the guardian gives to those who cross the threshold. We heard how the person who arrives on the other side of the threshold at first feels himself to be within light and experiences the world in a new way, in that he first hears what the guardian says, but also what the beings of the higher hierarchies are saying. In the last dialogue, the guardian asks a question in the angeloi exousiae trons, the archangeloi dynamis cherubim, and the achai kyriotetis seraphim speak one after the other about the element of warmth which penetrates everything and reveals itself to be a moral element on the other side of the abyss. We saw how the guardian then speaks to the I, asking 3 questions which penetrate deeply into the human being, and the answer with humility, as was explained last time, but exchanging words as in a deeply intimate conversation with the guardian. The guardian speaks. What becomes of fire's cleansing which aflamed your eye? Angeloi exousiae trons. Awaken yourself in the world, etheric fastness, the flaming script of life. Archangeloi, dynamis cherubim, the answer in us. Create yourself in time, wave circles, the soul's atonement forces. Archai Kyriotetis Seraphim, supplicate yourself in eternal being deeds, the spirit redemptive forces. Guardian has understood your spirit. I, the world spirit in me, it held its breath, and its presence may enlighten my eye. Guardian has comprehend your soul. I, the world's souls in me, they lift in the stars concealed, and their harmonies may sounding create my eye. Guardian has experienced your body. I, the world's forces in me, the huge human deeds, and their true saying words may guide me, the I. And especially here I will also say these words in German. Der Hüter spricht, was wird aus des Feuers Reinigung, die dir das Ich entflammte? Angeloi exousiae trone, erwecke dir in Welten Ätherweiten die Lebensflammen Schrift. Archangeloi dynamis cherubine, erschaffe dir in Zeitenwellen kreisen die Seelensühne Kräfte. Archai Kyriotetis Seraphine, erbitte dir in ewigen Wesentaten die Geisterlösermächte. Der Hüter hat verstanden dein Geist, ich, der Weltengeist in mir, er hielt den Atem an und seine Gegenwart mög erleuchten mein Ich. Der Hüter hat begriffen deine Seele, ich, die Weltenseelen in mir, sie lebten im Sternenrad und ihre Harmonien mögen klingen, schaffen mein Ich. Der Hüter hat erlebt dein Leib, ich, die Weltenkräfte in mir, sie richten Menschentaten und ihre Wahrspruchworte mögen lenken mir das Ich. The human being beyond the threshold of existence, where the guardian stands, feels himself to be within weaving, living light. Gradually it becomes not only felt light, but a kind of light, about which we can say that he sees it. From feeling the light in waves as in spiritual thoughts, so to speak, light appears which is seen by the spirit's eye. But the human being cannot enter already seeing into the light without hearing another deeply founded admonition from the guardian. And this admonition refers to a powerful cosmic imagination, something tremendously majestic, which the person who, even while being here in the sensible world, can receive as an impression, if he has the heart for it. For when he becomes magically illuminated by the cloud formations and the majestic rainbow, then he can feel as if the spirits beyond the physical sense perceptible rainbow's glow are shining in through its colors. It is there, builds itself up from the universe, then appears back into the universe, is placed within the universe like a mighty imagination. The guardian reminds us of this rainbow's impression at the moment when it becomes light enough for perception there in the spiritual world. And the guardian reminds us that the one who has come over to the spiritual world should recall the impression from the sensory world, which the rainbow had made. For it is remarkable, my dear sisters and brothers, that when we cross over from the physical sensory world to the spiritual world, the image of the rainbow is the easiest to remember and the one which most easily allows us to recall the relationship between the spiritual world, where it is becoming light, and the physical sensory world, which we have left together with our capacities for knowledge, not referring to the view of the rainbow itself, but to the memory of the rainbow, which has been called forth by the guardian of the threshold. The guardian now indicates, we will hear the exact words, try with the force you normally use to see with your eyes to prepare the substance with which you will penetrate this rainbow, with which you will pass below, through the rainbow, and to the other side of it. If we can imagine, there is a drawing made here in the cloud formation, right in the upper right hand corner. Look up from the earth, a small arrow. The rainbow would be here, red in the cloud formation. Then the guardian instructs us to penetrate through the rainbow. And from this vantage point, a line is drawn to the small circle on which the word Warte, which means a looking point, vantage point, is written, which is on the other side, to look back from the cosmic distance to the rainbow. The guardian instructs us to make our imagination more profound through meditation. If we wish to advance beyond the point we reached during the previous lessons. When we look back from out there, if you imagine that you go behind the board, the blackboard, the white arrows pointing up and left in the first drawing, then look at the rainbow from behind. Red arrows are pointing down and left in the first drawing. As it appears in memory, looking from behind, then the rainbow becomes a powerful bowl, a cosmic bowl. And we no longer see a bow, we see a powerful bowl extending over half the sky, within which the colors flow into each other. This is the imagination which the guardian first introduces to us. The ether rainbow's arc, light-facedness round, let through your eyes light created force. Your eye penetrate the circle and then look from beyond observation point, color flooding the world bowl. This first stanza of the mantra is written to the board. See the ether rainbow's arc, light-facedness round, let through your eyes light created force. Your eye penetrate the circle and then look from beyond observation point, color flooding the world bowl. These are powerful words spoken by the guardian, my dear sisters and brothers, and you must put yourself correctly in the image-filled situation in which the guardian of the threshold pupil finds himself when he is called to observe the cosmic pole with its content of color flooding light. See the ether rainbow's arc, light fastness round, let through your eyes light created force. Your eye penetrate the circle and then look from beyond observation point, color flooding the world bowl. We must pass through such images, and if they work deeply into the eye, then we see how the beings of the third hierarchy, angeloi, archangeloi, archai, appear in the flood of colors that fill the bowl. They are breathing the colors into their own angelic beings. Thus we have an idea about the cosmic creation behind the sensory world, which is the result of the deeds of the higher hierarchies. We have a conception of how the spiritual beings act beyond the rainbow, at first breathing in the cosmic bowl's colors, taking them into their own being. We observe how what flows from the cosmos to the rainbows, penetrating it, then appears behind the rainbow as thoughts, how it is absorbed, breathed in by the angelic beings. Now we learn the true nature of the rainbow. All the thoughts thought by people in a particular place are gathered from time to time through the rainbow's bridge and sent farther out to the spiritual domain, where it is breathed in by the beings of the third hierarchies. What so magically appears, the rainbow, in the vastness of the universe, does not only have a physical meaning, it has a spiritual inner meaning, and the magical ether rainbow cannot be discerned from within the physical sensory world. We can discern it only beyond the threshold of existence. Once we have heard the guardian of the threshold's various admonitions. Through the impression we receive from that outlook point of the rainbow, as the cosmic bowl, it becomes clear to us how the light, which at first was a dark, night-bedecked sphere, spreads out before us. We are now within it, its brightness, it is sun. The cosmic bowl with its flood of colors, seen from the other side of the rainbow. Then the angeloi, archangeloi and archai begin to reflect their consciousness within the human soul of how they breathe in the floods of the color in order that what exists here on the earth as sense perceptible may be brought into the spiritual domain, to the extent it is of us there. And then we perceive how the beings of the third hierarchy have breathed in what they took from the sensible world, what has penetrated them through the rainbow, what they have transformed to the extent that it can be taken into the spiritual world. They go as helpers with what they have absorbed within themselves to the even higher spirits, to the spirits of the second hierarchy, for the spirits of the third hierarchy, angeloi, archangeloi and archai, are the helping spirits of the spirit world. We now hear from them what we see when we behold the color flooding cosmic bowl somewhere beyond the rainbow. Angeloi, archangeloi, archai, sense our thoughts, colors breathing life in the light flooding shell. We carry sensory appearance to spirit's realm of being and turn world embedded us higher spirits surfing too. The second stanza is written on the board. Angeloi, Archangeloi, Archai. Sense our thoughts, colors breathing life. In the light-flooded shell we carry sensory appearance to spirit's realm of being, and turn, world embedded, us higher spirits serving too. My dear sisters and brothers, let us place the image once more before our souls. The cosmic bowl, half the sky in size, the colors flooding within, which we normally see toned down in the rainbow, weaving, living in one another, the beings of the third hierarchy, Angeloi, Archangeloi and Archai, approach. They breathe these colors. The thoughts of the beings of the third hierarchy are visible to us in these breathing of colors. We observe how these beings of the third hierarchy permeate with these cosmic thoughts, turn to the beings of the second hierarchy, the exousiae, dynamis and curiotetis, whom they serve, and we have the powerful image before us. The poor spirit beings appear, the resistance of the sun, who only appear when the physical image which the sun casts disappears. For despite all its greatness in comparison to the earth, it is a small image, for it is only an image, and the sun majestically fills the entire universe, infinitely larger than the giant cosmic image. Then the beings of the second hierarchy appear, weaving, living, in the poor spirit domain, but now receiving what the Angeloi, Archangeloi and Archai bring them. These are not dead thoughts, such as we have. The dead thoughts are taken from the illusion of the sense and become living thoughts through the breath of the Angeloi, Archangeloi, Archai, as a powerful offering. The Angeloi, Archai, Archangeloi and Archai place these living thoughts before the second hierarchy, the exousiae, dynamis and curiotetis. The thoughts which are illusions in earthly life are awakened to existence by the beings of the second hierarchy. And we see how the beings of the second hierarchy receive from the beings of the third hierarchy the thoughts already made living by them. And we see that a powerful resurrection of a new world takes place, created out of what was dead, illusionary, and taken up by the Angeloi, Archangeloi, Archai. Thus, a new world, a resurrection world come into existence through the working of the exousiae, dynamis, curiotetis. Then we see how the remarkable secret of the cosmos works. We see how the exousiae, dynamis, curiotetis give over what they received from the beings of the third hierarchy to what we call rays in earthly life, rays of the sun, of the stars. The awakened, now living world thoughts are given over to all that rays. In reality, rays are not physically. In reality, it is the spirit that beams in the rays. But we fail to see when the rays reach us what they had previously been given from the realm of the beings of the second hierarchy. All these rays, the rays of the stars, the rays of the sun, have been given what the beings of the second hierarchy weave in the world thoughts, but also what they let be resurrected from the dead thoughts, our thoughts on earth, which were made living by the beings of the third hierarchy, and now we hear how they also given to these raying spiritual forces what works as creative love in the cosmos, what weaves in the sun and star rays are love, the love that floods the cosmos and which is the creative force in the whole cosmos, how they entrust it to the rays of the stars, to the rays of the sun, we now see with the eye of the Spirit, how the beings of the second hierarchy, raying spirit, awakening love, bearing love, merge with the world. Thus we hear them speaking, not to us. We are witnesses to a dialogue between the beings of the second hierarchy and the beings of the third hierarchy. It resounds across. We only listen. It is the first time in the course of situational meditation that we hear the beings of the hierarchies speaking to each other. You're received from that sensory appearance enlivened, we awaken it in being, we give it to the rays, which the nothingness of matter, in the Spirit's essence, love weaving manifest. By being witnesses to a heavenly dialogue, the once night bedecked darkness is gradually illuminated for the eye of the Spirit. It becomes filled with a soft, mild light, and the third stanza is written on the board. You're received from that sensory appearance enlivened, we awaken it in being, we give it to the rays, which the nothingness of matter, in the Spirit's essence, love weaving manifest. If we have heard and have absorbed all this, then we will see with the Spirit's eye something else taking place. We have already seen how earthly thoughts are made living one by the third hierarchy, that what was made living is received by the second hierarchy and then shared with the rays and of the stars, and with the rays of the sun, and transformed into love. Now we see it taken over by the beings of the first hierarchy, and made by these beings into the elements with which to create new worlds. What angelois, archangelois, archais, breathe in from the world, what exousiae dynamis curiotetes, receive from them and transform into creative forces, from which they, thrones, cherubim, seraphim, shape new worlds, create new worlds. What is remarkable is this. First, we were witnesses to a conversation in heaven between the beings of the third and second hierarchy. Then we hear more with our spiritual ears. The beings of the first hierarchy begin to speak the cosmic word. At first it seems as though we were only to be listeners to a heavenly conversation, but soon we realize that it is not so. First, the angeloi, archangeloi, archai made their voices heard. Then a dialogue took place between the exousiae dynamis curiotetis and the angeloi, archangeloi, archai. Then the thrones, cherubim, seraphim join the conversation. A core, a heavenly core of the spiritual spheres rings out. They become aware now that the voices of all 9 cores ring out together, that what they are intoning is directed at us as human beings. And so finally the whole spirit world speaks to us, but only when what has been spoken within the spirit world is included in the cosmic words of the seraphim, cherubim and thrones, is it again intoned in our humanity. It intones to us as human beings. In your worlds of will, feel our cosmic acting. Spirit glows in matter when we create by thinking. Spirit creates in matter when we willing live. World is I, willing spirit word. The world is the spirit word which wills the I, and the world is in the creation by seraphim, cherubim and thrones. The 4th stanza will be written on the board. Thrones, cherubim, seraphim. In our worlds of will, feel our cosmic acting. Spirit glows in matter when we create by thinking. Spirit creates in matter. When we willing live, world is I willing spirit word. This spirit word, which wills the I, is the world. And as we hear with the spiritual ear these words directed at our humanity, it becomes light in the spiritual world. The mild light which was there before is transformed into spiritual brightness. This is the experience with the guardian while the spiritual sphere is becoming light. See the rainbow's arc, light-facedness round, let through your eyes light created force, your eye penetrate the circle, and then look from beyond observation point, color flooding the world bowl. Sense hours, thoughts, colors breathing life in the light-flooded shell. We carry sensory appearance to spirit's realm of being, and turn world embedded us higher spirits serving too. Our received from that sensory appearance enlivened, we awaken it in being. We give it to the rays which the nothingness of matter in the spirit's essence, love weaving manifest. In your worlds of will, feel our cosmic acting. Spirit glows in matter when we create by thinking. Spirit creates in matter when we willing live. World is I willing spirit world. And I will also say this mantra again in German. Sieh des Ätherfarbenbogens, Lichtgewaltges Rund, lass durch deine Augen lichterschaffene Kraft, dein Ich den Kreis durchdringen, und dann schau von jenseitiger Warte farbenflutend die Weltenschale. Empfind unser Gedanken, farbenatmend leben, in der Schale Lichtes fluten, Wir tragen Sinnenschein in Geisteswesensreiche und wenden Welt durchdrungen uns höheren Geistern dienend zu. Euer Empfangenes aus totem Sinnenschein belebtes, wir wecken es im Sein, wir schenken es den Strahlen, die des Stoffes Nichtigkeit in des Geistes Wesenheit, Liebe webend offenbaren. In deinen Willenswelten fühl unser Weltenwirken. Geist erglänzt im Stoffe, wenn wir denkend schaffen. Geist erschafft im Stoffe, wenn wir wollend leben. Welt ist ich wollend Geistes Wort. And it is a thought, the guardian of the threshold, worth touching us softly with his spiritual hands. We feel his presence as if he closed our spirit eye and we saw nothing for a moment, despite having been in a bright spiritual space a moment before. Words arise within me which I will place at the end of the lesson to be saved for next time. I do not wish to include them as a mantra for today. When the guardian of threshold, if we may express with a sense-perceptible picture what takes place in a purely spiritual way, softly places his hands over our eyes, though that we do not see the spiritual light around us, something arises in us that acts as a remembrance of the sensory world, which we had left behind in order to acquire knowledge in the spiritual world. And this now the third word. I entered this senses world, the legacy of thinking, carrying with me. A God's power had led me here. The death, it stands at the way's end. I won't feel the Christ being. It wakes in the matter's death, spirit's birth. So in the spirit I find the world and recognize myself in world's creation. And also in German, ich trat in diese Sinneswelt, des Denkens Erbe mit mir führend. Eines Gottes Kraft hat mich hereingeführt. Der Tod, er steht an des Weges Ende. Ich will das Christuswesen fühlen, es weckt in Stoffes Sterben Geistgeburt. Im Geiste find ich so die Welt und erkenne mich im Weltenwerden. My dear friends, I must remind you of something I said upon the opening of these class lessons and also during the Christmas conference. I cannot be assumed that things which have been organized in a certain way for good reasons may be changed from outside and be organized in a different way. Therefore, I must announce that in the future no applications to the class will be considered which is not directed to the Secretary of the Executive Committee of the Goetheanum, Dr. Wegmann, or directly to me. Only applications for participation in the class lessons directed to either one of these two addresses will be considered. What has been the rule from the beginning must be continued. The members have not followed this procedure, but have done as they wish, and those who are already members of the class should make this clear to others who want to participate. And now I will end this lesson with board number 1. That's the first board. O man, know yourself. So resounds the world word. You hear its soul powerful. You feel its spirit wasteness. Who speaks so word fastly? Who speaks so felt heartily? Does it act through space distant radiation? In your senses being experience, does it sound through time's wave weaves into your life's evolving stream? Is it you yourself who in space feeling, in experiencing time, creating the world, feeling foreign, sensing in space's emptiness of soul, because you have the force of thinking, losing in the time-destroying stream. Thank you very much.